Hello, and welcome to this first in a series of videos associated with University Seminar 275 Scientific Ethics. In this first video, I'm going to go over a little bit about what is kind of the philosophy I have in preparing and teaching this course, Scientific Ethics. Often when people are talking about ethics in relationship to science, they focus in on the controversies or what could potentially go wrong with the science, as if there was a conflict between science versus ethics. Now, the approach I want to take in this course is to take a look at science and ethics. So take a look at how science can answer some questions, ethics can give us some kind of perspective on whether or not to use that science, hopefully for the betterment of society. And so from the science aspect of it, science is basically a way of looking at the world that tells us what is possible. It tells us how something works. And so basically it provides us with information. And so in relation to that, and I use a lot of quotes within this course, in many ways, people talking and presenting information much better than I could. In this case, taking a look at science, a quote from Carl Sagan, our species needs and deserves a citizenry with minds wide awake and a basic understanding of how the world works. And that's what my goal is for this course. Not to give you kind of graduate level course in science, but to give you a little bit of an explanation as to how science works, and specifically science related to specific topics works, so that you can be better educated as a non-scientist citizen of the world. Now, if science provides us with answers about the world around us, ethics gives us an indication about whether or not it, in terms of science or technology, whether or not it should be used. But we could ask further questions. Who has access to the science and technology? And the flip side of that, who does the science and technology affect? And so we can think about this is, how are the burdens and benefits of science applied to society? And again, a quote that goes along with this from Isaac Asimov, the saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Are we, developing, what's possible with scientific advances faster than what we can kind of accept and what we can apply in the world around us? So even though I am a scientist, I'm a big fan of science fiction, especially science fiction movies, as well as books and novels. And so an example of that is the Jurassic Park series of movies. In the original Jurassic Park movie, Jeff Goldblum played Dr. Ian Malkovich, a chaos mathematician, and he has a great quote, which I think really indicates, what I feel is important within this quote, within this course. And he states, "Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could do something, in this case, could recreate the dinosaurs, bring them back from extinction. They were so preoccupied with whether they could that they didn't stop to think if they should. Is this something that we should be doing? Is this a proper application of science for the world? Is the world ready for it? Are we ready for this?" So the way the course is set up is we're going to be using a series of units within the course, roughly breaking the course into a first half and a second half. Within the first half of the course will be Unit 1, where we're going to take a look at an introduction to science and ethics, where we basically take a look at this at a very broad sense as a realm of philosophy. Philosophy is a way of looking at the world around us. And so a scientist may look at the world and look for explanations about what's going on in the world around us differently than a philosopher, differently than an artist, differently than many other people in the world. And this comes in around when we take a look at ethics. So ethics is basically looking not for an explanation for what is occurring in the world, but as an explanation as to whether or not something should be occurring, whether or not we should be doing something in relationship, and in this course, in relationship to the science applications. Now, still within the first half of the course, we're going to take a look at Unit 2, and this is to take a look at different ethical systems. And I feel this is really important. We have a view of the world based on our past perspectives, our experiences, but those past perspectives and experiences are different around the world, and in many cases different for individuals that may necessarily be sitting in a classroom with us on campus. So within Unit 2, looking at these different ethical systems, we're looking at trying to understand why do different people and in different cultures view the world differently, so that we can better understand how we look at the world. And again, apply this to our own persons, to our own individual views. We're going to ask questions along the way as to what are our guiding principles, not our collective guiding principles, but what are your guiding principles as an individual. And then expand on that a little bit to think about what are the specific ethical system or systems that you see yourself kind of applying within your daily life. Because we all are going to have different perspectives and different sets of ethics that go along with that. Now, throughout the course, I'm going to drop in some special topics in the form of, and I'm going to describe this as somewhat weekly ethical dilemmas in science, which are generally based on current events. So again, to show you what is going on in the world around us and how it applies to this course, how we can be asking questions about how the science works, as well as questions about how we should be applying the science within society. Now, in the past, I've chosen these topics based on what I thought was interesting. Going forward, I'm going to launch a survey at the beginning of the course asking if there are specific topics that are not currently listed on the syllabus as planned within the course that you have an interest in. And I'm going to take the ones that are most popular and use them to choose topics for this semester for our weekly ethical dilemmas in science. Now, keep in mind, I'm saying this is somewhat weekly. Sometimes I develop a topic and it doesn't come along the way that I would like, or doesn't give a good question, in which case it needs a little bit more work. And my goal is to provide you with good information with good questions associated with it, as opposed to rushing it. And so some weeks we will not necessarily have a weekly ethical dilemma in science. And so the ethical dilemma in science projects, or ethical dilemma in science topics, will be covered throughout the course. In the second half of the course, we're going to look at a much deeper level at different specific topics in order to understand both the science and the ethical questions along with this. And this is for you to become more informed so that you can develop your own personal viewpoint on the potential use of science or technology related to what we're looking at. My goal is to prepare you as an involved citizen of the world to be able to learn about these topics going forward and be able to make an informed decision as to whether or not you support the use of that technology in your life going forward. As always, keep in mind that even though this is an asynchronous course and the videos are available through YouTube, I am available to support you throughout the semester and in your learning throughout this course. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me and send me an email at my email listed here. So thank you and have a great week.